So the question is, are we ready to see a 7,000 number? I don't think so, not quite yet. But I do think we could see it this year. That was a video clip from me back on May 13th, 2024. I was talking about the weekly insurance registration data and saying how we might see a 7,000 number in a single week before the end of the year. Congratulations to NIO and NIO Longs. It looks like that has come in. By the way, these numbers are not from NIO, so not official numbers, but let's talk about them nonetheless. And the big thing, doing this for so long, these weekly numbers has taught me to watch for a couple of things. We usually see bigger numbers toward the end of the month. So we could see another even bigger number in the next week. And I do expect a strong finish to the month and the year here in 2024. The December numbers, if we see a roughly 30,500 delivery number for NIO and Onvo together in the month of December, they should hit guidance. I'm talking about NIO for the fourth quarter. And maybe they come in even ahead of that. I don't know. But I wanted to share the thumbnail because I've been tracking the data November to December so we can more clearly and easily see the difference. And with Onvo starting to ramp and the numbers on the delivery side getting bigger, I wanted us to be able to kind of track this. So for example, I've got the comparable week in November, which was the 18th through the 24th, and NIO and Onvo together had 5,300 for that week on the insurance registration side of things. Now this comparable week in December, 7,500, obviously a big jump up. But let's drill down and talk a little bit more about the numbers for each of the brands, because NIO with 5,400, this is actually a top 10 number for just NIO and that brand on the weekly side of things. And the reason I like to see that is obviously Onvo is still new. They're still ramping production delivery. So it's really nice to have this validation that there is a lot of interest still in NIO. And it's, if anything, maybe benefiting from Onvo coming out and getting more eyes, towards NIO and Onvo, and now in the future we'll have Firefly to look forward to as well. So that's a really nice positive. If we pivot now and look at Onvo, this represents the November weekly numbers for Onvo, and this is December, obviously starting at a much higher point, but also the 3 to 4 week period, that was the one where we saw the big jump from Onvo in November. And this would be the upcoming week, the data that we'll get next week. So I'm very curious what that ends up looking like. But obviously, we're trending in the right direction with both NIO and Onvo, at least in my mind, in my opinion. I wanted to share this as well because this is year to date, the BEV, and this is the higher price range, which NIO is doing very well with. They only have, in fact, if we look over here, the ET5 Touring, only some sales in this lower price range, the 200,000 to 300,000 RMB price range. So basically your 40,000 USD price range and above roughly is where NIO is selling most of their NIO brand vehicles. And you've got the ES6, the EC6, the ET5 Touring, the ET7, the ES7, the ES8, the EC7, all ranking respectively in their price categories. But I wanted to point this out for those who maybe don't realize. Note the ES6 is the best seller in that pure BEV RMB price range of 300 to 400,000. But if we look at all sales across China, it drops all the way down here. And it is the only pure BEV seller that's ranking. The blue represent ICE or gas sales. So there's still a large piece of this higher price segment, the premium market segment that is still being dominated by the German brands. And with the ET9 coming out, I'm going to talk about that more in the next video, I think. But I think that is going to bring some increased awareness. And I think the German brands are going to lose more and more sales, especially if we consider that in the Chinese market in the future, all of these are going to eventually be either green or orange, NEVs or BEVs. So NIO looks beautifully positioned to continue to take market share in that premium price range. And so then it just becomes a matter of, well, what does Onvo do? How does that look? I wanted to point this out because this is from the most recent earnings, the guidance for the fourth quarter, deliveries of vehicles to be between 72,000 and 75,000 units. So roughly, just to get to the 72,000 number for the fourth quarter, NIO needs about 30,500 on the delivery side. The goal with Onvo, 10,000 or more. And that, of course, means that NIO would be doing a 20,000 month alongside Onvo with it ramping. So that would be a really nice, strong way to end the year. But I want to offer just one more thing, a little extra piece. This is from my most recent video, and this is in the comment section. Keith, shout out and thank you for the comment. He says, I was thinking CATL mobilizing toward battery swapping is very bullish for NIO. Battery swapping is here to stay, and NIO is ahead of everyone. But I wanted to share because I kind of went into what I'm thinking with respect to 2025 and the global expansion of NIO with its brands, especially as Firefly comes online later in the year in 2025. So, yes, NIO with the early mover advantage, that's how I see it anyway. And then, here's my thought. And I'm just going to drop down here because what I'm wondering, and we don't know, there are a couple of unknowns. I'll mention them here per the asterisks that I put in the comment, but I'm thinking, maybe this is what things look like. The NIO brand vehicles continue to dominate the premium battery electric vehicle segmented or sub-segmented piece of the market within China. And then I also think we'll see positive sales for NIO with maybe taking a decent chunk in the Middle East and the UAE region. I'm really curious about that and how that's going to go. That might surprise. And so that's something I'll be thinking and watching. As far as Onvo could take a chunk of the mid-priced segment in the Chinese BEV market. Now, here's the thing, and I want to drop down to the asterisk, because if Onvo production cannot keep up with the Chinese market and the demand there, Firefly could be the global market beneficiary with expansion into outside global markets. That's kind of what I'm wondering about, because I'm not sure that NIO and Onvo, if they can keep up with the demand on the production side for Onvo just within China. So I don't know how soon, or what that looks like outside of China. But then let's jump back up here and talk Firefly. Firefly can take a chunk of the Chinese market and the European market. And here's the asterisk from that. If the Firefly global expansion is to be maximized in the short term, it makes sense to utilize existing swap stations in Europe. But this is also dependent on how the swap station application for Firefly develops. We still don't have all the details. We don't know what that looks like, but I'm just thinking in terms of from a competition standpoint on the swapping side of things, if Firefly is a great seller in Europe, and if NIO can get and meet the demand for that, even if it can't say outside of China with Onvo, well, maybe because there aren't as many users who will own Onvo and NIO in Europe, it wouldn't be an issue if Firefly is going to be able to swap. But I don't know that that's going to be the case. So we're still sort of waiting. And I'm hoping we will get some insight on that from NIO at next earnings call. I don't know. NIO has so many things going on, and I think it's the most exciting time that it's ever been for the company. And as a true long, I'm very excited. I hope others are as well, especially when we see things like this. Just the NIO side of things on the weekly, the numbers looking really good, a good strong finish to the year, and then early on in 2025, Chinese New Year always falls in those first couple of months. And so with that, people traveling back, let's see what, the power swap stations and all the battery swapping looks like over that time, even if the NIO sales slow down a little bit, and or Onvo. I'm really curious about Onvo. Are they going to, is NIO going to continue and maybe even deliver more of Onvo than folks are expecting because of the backlog of orders and the demand being so high? I don't know. These are just some of the things in my mind, but I did want to get this video up and out after we got the data here on this Tuesday, December 24th, Christmas Eve. Merry Christmas to you. God bless you all and your families. I'll be back with more content before you know it. Have a great day, night, whatever time it is for you. I'll see you all again very soon.